You are listening to the voice of David Ben-Gurion, proclaiming the independence of the State of Israel.
Israel is born. A dynamic documentary of the birth of a state, the State of Israel, which this spring celebrates the 10th anniversary of its independence, proclaimed in the spring of 1948. The American Committee for Israel's 10th anniversary celebration takes pleasure in presenting this program, consisting of excerpts from the record Israel is Born, produced by Kedman Records. The narrator is Arthur D. Holtzman.
Of David Ben-Gurion.
אנו חברי מועצת העם, נציגי היישוב העברי והתנועה הציונית, ביום סיום המנדט הבריטי...
By virtue of the natural and historic right of the Jewish people and of the resolution of the General Assembly of the United Nations, we hereby proclaim the establishment of the Jewish state in Palestine to be called Medinat Yisrael, the State of Israel. This is the story of the return of a wanderer. This is the tale of the fulfillment of a dream. This is the saga of the rebirth of a nation. This is the record of Israel. Our call goes out to the Jewish people all over the world to rally to our side in the task of immigration and development, and to stand by us in the great struggle for the fulfillment of the dream of generations, for the redemption of Israel. With trust in Almighty God, we set our hand to this declaration at this session of the Provisional State Council, on the soil of the homeland in the city of Tel Aviv, on this Sabbath Eve, the 5th of the Hebrew month of Iyar, 5708, the 14th day of May, 1948.
על אדמת המולדת, בעיר תל אביב, היום הזה, ערב שבת, אייר תש"ח, 14 במאי, 1948.
A new star had risen in the Middle East, and they called it Israel. Some men will say that Israel was born that day as Palestine's Jewish leaders met in a Tel Aviv museum and proclaimed their state. For the 25-year League of Nations mandate had come to an end, and in Jerusalem, High Commissioner General Sir Alan Cunningham closed the final chapter of British mandatory rule in the Holy Land.
It is not my wish at this period of the British departure to turn back the pages and look at the past.
The following day, a guard of honor of the Highland Regiment stood at stiff attention as the flag of Britain made its final descent over Government House, and the British High Commissioner said goodbye. Thus Israel was born, as Britain relinquished her mandate over the Holy Land, and Jews took up the reins of government in Tel Aviv. But the historian who dates the Jewish state from May 14th, 1948, ignores 20 centuries in the history of an ancient people, the constant daily prayer of 2,000 years of dispersion, the prayer for a final return to the homeland of Israel. And then there came a man and an idea. The time was the close of the 19th century. The man, Theodor Herzl. The idea, political Zionism, a detailed plan of statehood, and a force to put that plan into effect, the Zionist movement. If you will it, he said, it is no dream, and there were men who willed it. Men like the brilliant chemist, Chaim Weizmann.
There should be one place in the world, in God's wide world, where we could live and express ourselves in accordance with our character and make our contribution to civilization in our own way and through our own channels.
The vision inspired by Herzl and his followers, the seeds planted by men like Chaim Weizmann, took root in the downtrodden Jewish communities of Europe, and little bands of pioneers began the long journey back to Palestine. What they found was desert. Mi Yivneh HaGalil. Who will build Galilee? We will build Galilee, irrigate its fields with sweat and tears, fill in its swamps with the bodies of the sick, terrace its mountains with the bones of the fallen. If you will it, it is no dream. Inch by inch, acre by acre, farmstead by farmstead, an entire land was being reclaimed. And a Christian world gave token of its admiration. Britain's Balfour Declaration in 1917 and the League of Nations mandate over Palestine 5 years later, recognizing the ancient bond between Zion and the Jew. But there were Jews whose pathway to Zion was forever barred. Europe rang with the rasping echoes of hatred, of marching men and the voice of Adolf Hitler.
Und insofern auch vielleicht noch interessant.
And a song, the dread song of conquest, of Deutschland, Deutschland, Deutschland über alles. The ancient prayer for the dead. 6 million Jewish dead. O God, full of mercy, who dwelleth on high, cause the souls of our departed brothers of Auschwitz, Majdanek, Treblinka, and the other scenes of torture and death to find repose and peace among the souls of the holy in the firmament of the sky. Those who were left at the end turned their sorrowing faces westward, or eastward, or homeward toward Jerusalem, yearning for a land they had never seen and for welcoming hands they had never known. The voice of Chaim Weizmann called them home.
Jewish history has always been working through the remnants of Israel. Again, we stand before a period when we shall have to collect and assemble the remnant from the north and the south, from the east and the west. I am fully convinced that all who have and will become citizens of the Jewish state will strive their utmost to live up to the new opportunity which history has bestowed upon them. It will be our destiny to create institutions and values of a free community in the spirit of the great tradition.
And the world took notice of the fate of those remnants of Israel and of Jewish pleas for the one solution that could guarantee an end to homelessness and eternal wandering: statehood through partition of the Holy Land. The United Nations debates on the partition resolution were bitter and vehement. And on November 29th, 1947,
We will proceed the roll call. You all know how to vote. Those who are in favor will say yes. Those who are against will say no. And the abstainers, always they know what to say. We will start it now.
Afghanistan, No. Argentina? Argentina? Abstention. Australia? Yes. Belgium? Yes. Bolivia? Yes. Brazil? Yes. Belarusia? Yes.
The final vote on the United Nations
Canada?
Palestine Partition Resolution
Yes.
had begun. The
Chile?
galleries were filled with tense and anxious spectators.
Abstention.
Some of the votes were hardly unexpected.
Iran? No. Iraq? No. Lebanon? No. Soviet Union? Yes. The United Kingdom? Abstain. The United States? Yes.
The news reached Tel Aviv at midnight, and the world tuned in on Mograby Square. A good cross-section of Tel Aviv's population is here tonight, about 20,000, jam-packed in Mograby Square, where loudspeakers have been set up to announce the result of the important vote that's now taking place in New York. People are standing on top of trucks and buses, hanging over balconies and out of windows, perched on top of street lamps and telephone poles, all waiting for the momentous word that may spell victory or defeat for their 2,000-year dream of a Jewish homeland. I think you can hear that loudspeaker now. What is it? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Partition passed 33-13, and is this crowd excited? They're starting their horror dances now. All over the square, little circles are forming. People are laughing and crying and shouting and whirling around in the wild horror dance. Perhaps you can hear it now. They're starting to sing Hatikva, the Jewish national anthem, away off in a corner of the square, and gradually the horror dances are breaking up and people are taking up the refrain of Hatikva. All around me, I can see Jews weeping unashamed while they sing. Let's listen to them.
And thus, Israel was born. The American Committee for Israel's 10th anniversary celebration, under the general chairmanship of former Senator Herbert H. Lehman, has presented this program as part of the American observance of Israel's 10th anniversary, underscoring the community of interests uniting the two democracies, the United States and Israel. The excerpts you heard were from the record Israel is Born, produced by Kidman Records. Arthur D. Holtzman was the narrator.